Hello, Lizzie here from Lizzie Curtis Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make Anna. And Anna, this is the front of the pattern. Anna is the cushion. So although you can see Alice the bunting in the background, it's Anna the cushion we are making, and it's this beautiful cushion behind me. So let me just get that for you. It's so pretty. I love it. There we go. So it's our wonky mushroom again, this time in a very much larger scale. We've got 3 beautiful buttons down the side and a pleat, just to make it interesting. A zip that actually opens up, obviously, so you can put your cushion pad in there. But the main thing is obviously the free motion quilting of the wonky mushroom. And yeah, super pretty. So it'll look lovely on a bench in the summer, outside, maybe on a little chair somewhere. I don't know, I really see it being in the garden rather than in the house, but equally it would suit a little girl in her bedroom as well. I think it's just lovely. Of course you could fill it with potpourri inside as well, or you could just put some essential oils in your cushion pad if you want it to have that lovely aroma, maybe some lavender, something like that. Be absolutely gorgeous. So today I'm going to show you how to make Anna. So let's just pop her back there. Woo! Push my mushroom up. There we go. It's the mushroom there that inspired me this month. And the mushroom I bought recently from a textile fair, and the lady who made it's called Michelle James. Now, before you ask, she doesn't really do social media. She's only kind of local to me here in Suffolk, Cambridgeshire, Norfolk, that sort of area. So yeah, I can't help you much with that. If you're in this area, then please try to get to a textile fair, because she's absolutely super. Her work is superb, and that's what inspired me. So we're going to make Anna. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go through I'm going to pop it there just for a moment. I'm going to go through once again how to transfer the images onto Bondaweb. Now, I'm sure you've seen this. If you've seen Alice or Aggie, you will have seen already how to do this, but it's good to cover because maybe this is the only video you're going to watch. So this is the pattern sheet that you're going to get with the pattern. That's the template. Yours will have letters on, and mine's my own copy. And all you're going to do is with the glue side down and the paper side facing you, you're just going to draw around your shapes, and you will know what the shapes are because they match the pattern, and you'll see when you get the pattern what I mean by that. So just roughly trace around them. If you go a bit wriggly, don't worry, this is already a wonky mushroom, so the rest of it could easily be wonky as well. There's no right or wrong with things like this. It's absolutely fab. So you're going to trace all of these images onto your Bondaweb or whatever product you use, and they're spaced apart equally, so it's perfect for just one piece. You don't have to keep moving that piece around because you need a bit of space between each of the shapes. So once you've done that, let's bring my little piece in to show you. Let's pop that down. Once you've done that, you're going to actually adhere your shape to your chosen fabric. So here we've got a lovely spotty fabric, which is just so beautiful. So we're going to put it on the wrong side of your fabric, glue side down onto the wrong side of your fabric, and then I get my bigger scissors. You're going to cut it round. So all I do is I keep my right hand static, and I move the fabric with my left hand. So, or I kind of just, you can see I'm spinning it, and the scissors are just literally staying put. And that's the best way to cut all of these images. So it's as simple as that. Once that's cut out, it doesn't have to be, you can see I haven't quite got on the lines. Once you've cut that out, just use a sharp object, scratch the back of your Bondaweb. If you use something like heat and bond, it's much easier to actually separate the layers, as is steamer seam as well. Bondaweb is such a fine layer of glue that you need to just separate it with a little scratch. But do be careful of your fabric. So once you've got all of your pieces cut, Let's bring that in. You're ready to actually assemble your mushroom, so let's do that. Now I'm going to use an applique mat, but you might have a silicone sheet in your cookery drawer, and do try it out with scrap fabric, but it should work just as equally as well. The great thing about an applique mat is that you can see through it, so if you wanted to build up the design through the applique mat, you can. I'm just going to see if I've got the pattern piece here that I can show you what I mean by that. Just a sec, because there we are. Here we go. There it is. So that is the pattern sheet. So what I can do, I can pop that down on there. This goes over the top, and I don't know if you can see. I'll get more bits out of the way. You can actually see through it, so you can place your pieces according to your pattern. Okay. In fact, that should have gone on first. In fact, mine's a reverse. It's typical, isn't it? Yours will be different to mine, but mine is reversed, and all you're going to do is follow that pattern piece, and it'll work out perfectly fine. Just because I've had mine a little while now, and we flip the pattern about a little bit and play about with it. So all you're going to do is pop that down on your mat and build it up, as I said. There's the bit we just cut out from the spotty fabric, so that's the door. And then we've got windows, and you might want to start thinking about fussy cutting, because once you start fussy cutting, it's amazing what little bits you can pick up. And even if you've got a fabric that's really, really busy, there might well be bits of that has little flowers like this, which is perfect for the flower bushes that are going to go up the side of the house. That looked really faint, but that is the right side. Yeah. All of these pieces have got the Bonder web on. So now we need to put the rest of the door together. So that goes like that. And obviously you can move this around. If you've got a stiletto, it's really useful for moving. The point actually grabs the fabric, and it really helps you keep things straight. So then we've got the chimney. So put the chimney on that side. Doesn't matter which side you put it on, but let's put it that side. And you just want to tuck it under, so you've got a little bit of an overhang, and that will glue all the layers together. Then we've got two windows in the roof. Oh, it's so pretty, isn't it? It makes a difference what fabrics you choose. And try a few out. They call it auditioning your fabric. And then we've got this little window here, which has a butterfly in. So I'm just going to move it down slightly, so I've got a bit more of those flowers on show. So again, a little bit of fussy cutting. Then I've got the big flower bush there. And then on this side, we're going to have these fussy cut pieces for the 3 flowers, or the trailing flowers, that are going up the side of the mushroom house. So you can see what that looks like now. So it doesn't take long. And then when you're happy, just pop your iron over the top, count to 4, and then lift it up, plonk it down. There we go. I'm sure I'm missing a piece there. It's going to be hidden under there somewhere. I'll have glued it. Oh dear. It's around somewhere. Let me just see if I can find it, because I need the other part. I haven't put it on underneath, have I? Nothing would surprise me. No, it's not there. Oh, strange. Okay, let's cut another one. That's okay. So it's good practice, isn't it? Oh dear. Let's get my other. In fact, I did draw that out, so let's just use that little piece there. I'm thinking I've definitely lost the inside of my door. Oh dear. Right. So just little scraps of fabric. You can see I've been chomping away Just make sure this isn't the same size as that. No. And if you've got directional fabric, just obviously watch the... Oh, it's there, look. It's hiding somewhere. Okay, well that's good. I knew I'd cut it out. Yes, if you've got directional fabric, just be aware of the direction it needs to go in, depending whether it's a door or a window, something like that. So let's cut this out. It's always the way, isn't it? I knew I'd cut it because I'd chosen this fabric. It's the same fabric as I had that I've just found. So, right, so just scratch the back of that. Peel it all off. There we go. And it's a bit static, so it'll stick to you for a little while. Let's pop this over the top. Pop it down. There we are. Happy now. So 4 seconds. Hold it down for 4 seconds. And do all the key parts. So the windows, the chimney, all the flowers, the door. And just let that settle. Let that glue melt. Now, while that's cooling, we can put the basics of the front of the cushion together. So let me just pop that over there, out of the way. So, with your cushion front, you actually cut it, it's not a square, it's a rectangle, and the dimensions are in the pattern. And you're going to put a pleat in it, so you can see my pleat there. Let's just move that up a little bit. So you can see my pleat there. I've actually already put my wadding on the back, which is a square. But this on the front is the pleat. And it shows you in the pattern, or it gives you in the pattern, the measurements that you measure in for this first pleat here, or the first marker here, and then this is the second marker, and just fold that over to meet, and that way that gives you that that pleat there. It's about 1.5 inches, but what you want to end up in with is a square which matches the back. And then I want you to mark out, and again in the pattern it tells you, I want you to mark out the centre. Okay, got a cross there, and then equal distance out from that. So this is where you put your buttons. Now I'm going to machine my buttons down, but you could equally hand stitch them if you want to. And you can put a little bit of glue on there, or I'm going to just have a look, see if I've got any glue handy. I don't think I have, and it doesn't matter. But you could put a little bit of quilter's tape on the back of the button just to hold it in place, or a little bit of wet glue, let it set, just to secure your button. But you've got the position of where it needs to be, so you should be fine. So let's stitch those buttons in place. Now, you may well have a button foot, which is great. You can use that if you want to, but I'm going to just use my regular foot, okay, which kind of grabs these big buttons really well. I'm going to set my machine to a zigzag, and it has to match the holes of the button. So you need to hand crank this, and I'll show you what I mean. We'll go on to the side camera and you can have a little look-see. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to set my machine up to a zigzag. Now I know for a fact I want the stitch length to be about 0.3 or 0.4, so depending on your machine will depend on what size setting you use. With my machine I can go from 0.5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your machine may not do that, but it's the smallest setting. Even a 0 is excellent, because you don't really want to move that needle down the button. We're not stitching a seam, we want it to be on the spot, a bit like if you were doing a button, making a buttonhole. So the stitch length should be on about 0.3, so I'll set mine up for that. But what we'll do is we will test every single thing out before we let this machine loose on a button. We don't want our machine needle to break, it's just a pain. So let's bring this in. So I'm going to pop my button over the top, And the first thing I'm going to do, make sure it's sitting on the centre of the cross that you've made. Now my needle, let's get it in the hole. That's it, it's in the hole now. My needle has automatically gone to the right side of my foot, which means it's going to go to the left on the next stitch. Yours might do the opposite to that, okay? So be aware that with your zigzag, it's going to start off on one side and hop to the other. Now, I'm not going to do anything with my foot control. This is all going to be hand cranked for the moment. Now, on my original cushion behind, I did a black stitch to match the applique. This machine is set up with a cream stitch. I've got a different machine for my applique, so I'm going to just stitch with the cream. Matters not, you can choose. So to make sure that I've got this in the right position, I'm going to put my foot down because I know, let's put it down, because I know that the needle is in the right place to start off with. But as I bring my needle up, which I shall do now, I want it to hop into the hole on the other side. Now, that is pretty much perfect, and the width of that is 3.6, but that fits my button. Okay, so you need to have a look at the settings of your machine and actually set it to the hole distance between your button. So let's just do another little zigzag manually just to make sure that's sitting nicely. I don't want to break my needle. And then if you could hand crank the whole thing. So I mean, I could just then spend the next couple of minutes doing, I don't know, 7 or 8 stitches in that hole just to make sure it's secure. But once I'm confident, which I am, I'm constantly got my hand on this flywheel at the side of my machine just in case. I can then move it over to the button holes below. Now this time my needle has finished on the left, so I'm putting it in the left hand hole of my button. It sounds really complicated, but it's so not. So just keep your eye, because we don't want to break our needle. And like I said before, if you're not sure and you're not confident and you're not happy, hand stitch these buttons on or hand crank your machine, okay? But I'm fairly happy with this. So that's one button attached. Personally, I like doing it this way. So let's put the second one on. So my needle is now on the right hand side of my foot again. So make sure that is sitting on there. So let's hand crank it again. Just, that's it. I haven't got my foot down. Now you see, I find the normal foot, the big foot if you like, to hold these big buttons really securely. Maybe with a smaller button, maybe that wouldn't work so well, I don't know. But because it's a bigger button, it sits beautifully on top and really holds it fast. It's not going to wriggle. So as long as we're happy, we can just let the machine do its thing. So I've finished with my needle onto the right, so I'm just going to shift this across, or down I should say, put it into the hole, that first stitch, and then you can see as your confidence grows, so will the buttons get attached. So let's move it down. Let's put this one down. So it's finished on the left this time, and obviously you can change it so it finishes on the right or the left, but I just go with what the machine is telling me. So let's just pop the needle in and put my foot down. This button is never going to come off. So let's move it down to the second set of holes. So you can see I'm being very cautious. Good. Cut the threads as normal, and those buttons are now securely attached. So let's just put the machine out of the way, and you'll have a little jump stitch between the top and bottom holes, so you can either trim that away or just leave as is. I should just leave it, it's fine. So there we are. So there is our cushion front done. Now bringing in our applique mat, we're ready to put our mushroom on there. So by now it's cool, so you can just get a nice sharp tool and just pull it under, put it under, and just pull it away, and just be gentle. There we go. And that's done. Beautiful. So now you can place that on your cushion. And if we look at the original one, let's just move my little mushroom out of the way. There we are. You can see what it looks like. We've added a bit here, so I'll show you how to do that. Plus, if I remember, we will put smoke coming out of the chimney, but that's all down to me remembering to do that. So we're good to go with that. Looks gorgeous. Looks quite different. Let me just hold that up there like that. Looks quite different from, let's do it this way, from not stitched to stitched, doesn't it? So it does make a difference just spending that bit of time doing the applique, doing the free motion. Well, I know some of you don't like it so much. Anyway, let's get this attached. So don't forget your seam allowances. So you need to bear in mind you're taking 1/4 inch off this side here. And we're just going to go for it. So I'm going to try and make sure. It's difficult when you're looking over the top, whether that, I'm going to look at the screen. That might want to come down a wee bit, not much. But once you've made it into one piece like this, it's great because you can just move the whole piece around. So once again, we're just going to do, well, maybe just little taps like this. I'm working with, I've got a calico bag. I really wanted to use some calico this time. So that's muslin if you're in the US. And this particular calico scorches incredibly quickly. So I'm being super cautious because I don't want a scorch mark. So just light tapping. The main thing is to get all your points. So here, for instance, you want that really well glued down. So again, keep just gentle tapping. Only because I don't trust my fabric at all. So depending on what you're using, I know, crazy. And that's, I'm happy. So as long as you can't lift up, or nearly, look, as long as you can't lift up the edges, because when you come to stitch, it makes a huge difference. Okay, let's switch the iron off. Now then, with this one, we've done like little sort of lines underneath the mushroom. So let's pop those in. I'm going to do the smoke. This time I won't forget. Now, if your fabric's still hot, your pen might not work so well. So there's my smoke. And we're going to do the underside of the mushroom. So I'm just going to, now if you're not confident with your drawing, it's just literally almost not quite a straight line. You want a kind of a curve. Oh, I think that's okay. Hopefully you can see it. And then if you wanted to, you could draw your lines in. So you've got something to follow. Yeah? So let's do this side. There we go. We might put a little one there, look. So those are your stitch lines. I've also done some pebble work. Now let me just show you my cushion again. So let me show you what that looks like. So down here we've got pebbles and we've got grass as well. So I'll show you how to do that. It's just literally circular movements with the free motion. But you might want to draw this in so you don't forget, like me, or you know, you need that little bit of help. But it's literally just straight lines. So let's pop the pebbles in. So I'll do that just so it doesn't, it reminds me. So let's just pop a few of those in. Now that will remind me. I'll do more than that. And then with the grass, it's going to be fronds like this, literally. Okay, so you might want to go over your little flower bush there. And that's really all you're going to do. You might do more. You might decide, you know, that you want to build in some more leaves and all sorts of things. It really is whether you're confident enough and you like doing this sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is change to my machine that I use my free motion for, and I'll get back to you in a sec. Okay, so I'm all set up for free motion. Feed dogs are dropped down. If you don't have that facility, put your stitch length on 0. That'll work just as well. I'm using a dark grey thread, so maybe that's something that you want to think about. I've suggested in the pattern you don't use black, and I've got quite a dark grey thread there. Or use a variegated thread, because that, especially with these lovely pretty mushrooms, then a variegated would look amazing. Try to match the thread in your bobbin as well, just in case your tension's a bit out and it's bringing up the bottom thread. It looks a little bit... it can look a little bit, I don't know, pixelated almost if you've got a different colour thread in the bobbin, so do change that. Right, so let's get going. So we're going to do exactly what we did with Aggie and Alice. So we'll start with the roof and we'll work our way around. And as I've marked it, I'm not going to forget the smoke this time. And do practice. Do practice. So I'm using a very old machine here, so whatever machine you've got will be absolutely fine. This machine is at least 50 years old, and it's super for free motioning, but yours will be as well. It doesn't have to be a super duper electronic computerized machine for this, it really doesn't. So position your fabric to where you want to start, and I always start with my needle in. Now if you wanted to make this really super duper neat, then you want to bring up your bobbin thread at this point, just so there's not a bird's nest on the back. Nobody's going to see it, so this is up to you now. And then you can thread your two ends and actually thread it onto a needle and take them back through to the back of your work and tie them off that way, so you've got no loose ends or any little bits of thread or anything like that. So I shall leave that up to you. Personally, I never bother. Free motion is all about being a free spirit, so I might have a few threads, who cares. Right, so again, like I did before, we're just going to start with a little back stitch. So it's a tiny movement, that was it. If you missed it, if you blinked, you've missed it. Just on the spot, so it means that your threads are secure now. So if you cut close to that thread, that stitch that you've just done, it's not all going to come undone, or at least it won't look messy. So let's just see how we get on. So I'm moving the fabric and I'm going around the edge of my roof. If you stop like that, put your needle in. Move the fabric if you want to. If you've got a big table that you have attached to your machine, fantastic, because that really will help you support your work here. So I'm not going super speedy because we're drawing, so we want it to be fairly neat and accurate. Anyway, there's no rush, is there? No rush. So now we're going across the roof. And when we get to that end, just a couple of stitches on the spot will secure that thread. So from there, I'm not going to break my threads this time, like I have with the other projects. I'm just going to hop across, and that piece of thread from one place to another I can just snip off, but you need to lift up your presser foot to release the tension in your machine, tension discs, to allow that thread to freely flow through. I knew I'd struggle with that bit. So I'm going over to the chimney, I'm putting my needle down, foot down, and I shall go round the edge of my chimney. Now you'll notice that I'm only doing one row of stitching. Now with this bigger project you could do 2 or 3 rows, but I shall stick with my one to match all my other projects. Little back stitch, or a couple of little stitches on the spot, and I'm done. So now while I'm at this point I'll do the smoke. So foot up, get it in a position where it's comfortable for you. Bring it over to the beginning of your smoke if you decided to do that. Foot down. And if you're following the lines you've drawn, how easy is that? There we are. A couple of little stitches on the spot. Now we're quite a long way away from the other piece of the work now, so I'm actually going to cut those threads off. Okay, so if I show you at the side here, you'll be able to see what we've done so far. So we've done the roof, the chimney and the smoke. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the rest of the house. So as before, as we've done with Alice and Aggie, I'm coming down here. I'm going to jump all the way across from there. I'm going to jump to there, all the way across. I'm going to jump to there and come up. Oh, I haven't done my windows yet. I'll do them next. So I shall do the house first and then I'll come back and do those windows. You'll soon see where you've missed if you have missed anything. So needle down where I want to start. Slight movement just to get a back stitch there. Just gently push that fabric through. Little stitches on the spot. Lift up. Move it over. Needle down, foot down. I'm going all the way across my door. I've ignored where I've drawn for grasses and pebbles because that's going to be done last. Needle down, foot down. So you'll get into that habit hopefully. Now you see I get my cuff caught on the side of my table. This is why a bigger table is good. It's too much for me to have for demonstration. So I've done round the house. I'm going to pop up to the roof now and do those 2 windows on the roof. So lift your foot up, put it down, put the needle in. I'm going to go round the windows. Again, start off with a couple of stitches just to anchor your thread. Unless you take them, unless you bring your threads up and do all that. If you're an experienced free motioner or applique person, you'll understand what I mean by that. So I'm just going to do the centre window. And come down. This time I'm going to put it in the middle rather than at the top. And we're just drawing across. So take your time with this, because maybe this is something that you really want to look smart. So I've done one window and I'll show you in a sec. Just taking it over to the other window now. Needle down, foot down. You get used to the same thing over and over again. Just move my fabric so it's easier for me. And as I said before, don't worry about your stitch length. There'll be times when you'll probably be stitching on the spot and you'll think, what the heck? But that's okay. That's okay, completely okay. Let's go up the middle and then do a cross. This might be slightly different to the other window, but maybe they've had double glazing installed in that window. Right, so I'm a long way away from any other part of the work, so I'm actually going to cut my threads, take it out just for a little moment. So let me cut my threads as well to make them neat, and I'll show you what I've done. So let's get this a little bit tidier for you. Otherwise it's distracting to see so many threads showing. Normally I would wait till the end, but this is for your benefit. Alright, that looks okay. We've got a few jump threads to cut off, but I'll do that in a sec. Right, let me hold it up. So what we've got now is that we've got the smoke, the chimney, the roof, the windows, and we've got the full body. So now what we can do is we can do we'll do the doors, we'll do the window, and then we'll do the flowers. You can see I've got a jump thread there that needs snipping, and then we'll come up and do our, must be a name for that bit. It looks like they look like filters, don't they? The underside of a mushroom, some mushrooms, you know, like the filter you have in your vacuum cleaner. Odd analogy, I know. I'm renowned for my odd analogies. Right, we're going to do the outside door first. So needle down, foot down, little back stitch just to hold, or little stitches on the spot is absolutely fine. So let's try and keep this neat. I could feel that wriggling, so I'm going to move my fabric. Because if you have some gloves with silicone tips on, please use them. I have somewhere. Just move it again. It's worth taking a little bit of time over this. So coming down to the bottom, we're going across that door again. And now we're going to do that middle door. Now I'm not keen on going backwards, so I'm going to change the position of my fabric. I don't mind, I will go backwards, but it's not my favourite thing to do. Oops, a bit clunky there, but I'll be alright. Down to the bottom and across. This time we want to put the door handle in. And let's do that. So it's just across a little way, and then moving your fabric to do what could resemble a French knot, really. Come back out, and we'll put our window pane in at the top. We'll just do a little dividing section of the window there, and there we are. So that's our door done. Now I won't show you, I'm just going to do the window. So lift up to release that tension, needle in, foot down, or you can do it the other way around. So we'll just stitch our window. It's lovely because it's got the butterfly. So have a look at your fabric. Don't pick anything with huge designs on it because it'll get completely lost. Look for little flowers, or even if it's a big design and it has a background maybe of little flowers, that would be perfect. So unfortunately I've cut my butterfly in half. There we go. It's smashing. I'm just going to come down. Just going to do a little bit there. That's it. So let's take that out so you can see what I've done. There we go. The needle needs to come up. There we go. So I've got a few threads just to cut. But you can see what I've done with the door. So I've put a little door handle in there. And we've done with a window light just there, and then we've done all the way around, and this is our top window here with our fussy cut butterfly in, so maybe that's the sort of thing that you can do. And I love the background of the bigger flowers. So now we're going to go around our flower bushes. So needle down, foot down, and something like this, you might want to put this in a hoop. Now, I might speed up a little bit with this, because what we want is, what we're stitching, we will see, okay? So you want your stitching to resemble a flower. So bear that in mind. Let's go on with that. Okay, so that's that flower done. So I'm going to hop over to the other side. Needle down, foot down. I must admit, with these bigger pieces, variegated thread would look amazing on these flowers. So we're going over to the next flower, going anti-clockwise this time. Oops, I'm not sure I'm very good at anti-clockwise. Now, if you're not confident with doing this freestyle, this flower sort of effect, then please draw, and then you can always iron them out. So foot up, needle down. So you'll get into the swing. This time I'll go clockwise, because I'm much happier going clockwise. Don't know why I went anti-clockwise. And I do suggest you practice all these things. So there's my flowers done. So let me just take that out so you can see. I'll just trim these bits of thread off now before you have a little look. Let's have a look. There's a jump thread there. Okay. Right, so there's my flowers done. So you can see what I mean about, you can see the stitching, so be careful with your stitching, and like I say, you can always draw the lines in so to help you. We've still got the bits at the top to do, but let's do the grass and the pebbles. Okay, they're quite fun. I quite like that because it's, yeah, you're using your imagination more. So I'll just start off with one of the grasses. So this is where I would speed up a little bit now and actually quite enjoy this, because it's not, you don't have to be super duper neat and tidy. I'm just going to take this thread and cut that. So yeah, so you can have a bit of fun with this. Do little fronds and bigger fronds. Just have a bit of fun. Okay, so then we'll just hop over to the other piece of grass. So I'm going up and then down. Don't worry if you don't stitch on the same line. It will just look like the leaves of the grass. It's your imagination, isn't it? This is not set. It's not part of the pattern as such. Okay, so there's my grass done. So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll do the pebbles, and then I'll show you what all of that looks like. So with this I need to hold my fabric fairly stable. So we're just going around in circular movements. Like I said, you might want to draw. Try and keep your speed of your machine consistent. That always helps. And we're doing kind of random pebbles. It's quite fun if you like this sort of thing. This gives you a little bit of freedom, and you're painting basically. Let's take the thread back up to the top. So I'm just following the lines of my pebbles to do that. So and obviously they're going to be all different sizes, pretty much all different shapes as well, although the majority will be round. But you might get some oval ones in there, and yeah, just enjoy. So just take your time. If you want to do 2 rows around each circle, do that. But what you're creating is like a faux path, really, an indication that something's there. Okay, so that's probably enough. So let's cut that, maybe a few more. Trouble is with this, you could easily get carried away. So there is let's fold that so you can see. There's the grass and there's the pebbles. So if you have a look, there's your grasses and the pebbles. And some of the places where I've decided not to stitch because I'd have to hop and do a separate circle with that, which wouldn't make sense. So I've just left it like that. So you could do more if you want, but not too much. So now we'll just do the fronds at the top. So when I say fronds, I don't know what else to call them. These bits here. So we'll do the line across first. I'm coming back and I'm going up the line and I'm coming back. I'm going to move that slightly so it's better for me. And you're following the line that you've just done. And you're going up and down. If you can't manage to go down as well, you know, you've got to follow that first line you did, then just go across the top of your stitching. I'll show you in a sec what I mean by that. So let's just finish that off. And I'll show you what I meant by that. So there we've done 1/2. So I stitched along here, I came back, I went up and down, across, up and down. Now if that's too much for you to do and you can't get that lined up straight, do that one up and down, so you're back here, go across, go up and go across here and come down, across, up, across there and down. You may see the stitches here, but this is just a little cushion, so it doesn't matter too much. So if you can't manage to be super duper neat, then do it that other way. So let's do the other side. Oops. So let's just move that. There we go. So we're following our line back. We're going up and down, following the line across, going up. It's a bit wriggly, and down. It's not too bad. Goodness. I need to concentrate morning, and I need another coffee. Perhaps I've had too many coffees. You know, I said I don't like going backwards, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not enjoying it. There we go. That's looking great. There we go. Super job. Right, so that is our house complete. So let me cut the threads, show you what I've done. So let's just cut all this away, make it as neat as I can. I think that's all I need to do. So if I hold it up there, you can now see. So we've stitched our buttons on, we've stitched our little mushroom house on, we've done the pebbles and the grass and the smoke. Going to give it a little iron to get rid of the pen marks, and then we're ready to put the cushion together with the zip. So I have given it a little iron to get rid of all the pen marks, and there we are. So there's the front of our cushion done. I've just noticed I haven't cut the threads on the back, but I'll just ignore that for the time being. I can always do that later. So now it's the time to do our zip. So let's have a look at what we need. First of all, we've got the zip. Now the measurements are all in the pattern, so you don't need to guess, it's all there for you. But we need to put zip tabs on each end, so when we come to stitch the cushion together, it's lovely and easy on this seam just at the bottom here. So what you need to do is do a little zip sandwich, so the squares that you get told to cut go over the top of each other to make a sandwich. So let's just get a little clip. They're obviously bigger than what you need. That's fine, it means you can cut them down. So let's do the same on the other end. Now if your zip isn't like mine where it's joined both ends, then just put a little stitch in there, so that'll help you keep your ends lined up properly. So there's our two zip tabs clipped on. So what we're going to do now is actually stitch across there to secure them. Let's bring the machine in. Just be careful when you go over zips, just make sure that you go slowly if you need to, just to make sure that you don't break the needle. It should be fine on a nylon zip. No need to back stitch. So there's one end stitched, so it looks like that. So if we bring those two zip tabs up, that's what it looks like. So now let's do the other end. Now I'm just going to iron these tabs back, but you might want to top stitch across, but you're not going to see hardly any of it, so I'm not sure it's worth it, but I'll leave that for you to decide. I know some people will often top stitch just for neatness, but I don't think it's really necessary with this. But maybe that's something you like to do, which is fine, isn't it? Okay, so now we've got it, so both our zip tabs are on. Whoops, there we go, see both ends, and we're just going to trim them down. So you might want to do this with your rotary cutter and ruler. I'm just going to use my eye, if you like. So you want the tabs now to be the same width as the zip, so you can see like that. It's a good way of putting a zip into a cushion, because it means that when you come to stitch the cushion together, it lies pretty nicely at the bottom there. Okay, so that's our two zip tabs completed. Now it's just a case of stitching it onto your project. So we might as well start with the front first. It's super easy. You're going to put right sides down. Now what you might want to do is find the centre. So bring your tabs together So make sure your tabs are sitting well on top of each other. And I want you to mark. I don't necessarily want you to cut into your zip, just in case. And then mark the other side. So we've got our mark in the centre of our zip. Fold your cushion front in half. So we're doing this on the bottom edge. Pop a pen in there and hopefully we've made a mark. Not at all. Let's do that again. Pop your pen in and make a mark. You could do it the other way around, just as easy. There we are. We've got our mark in there now. So obviously what you're going to do is right sides together. So you don't want to see the zip slider, you just want to see the back of it. And that's going to sit on top of that mark. And pop a clip in. We'll start stitching from this end. So I'll pop a clip in there. I won't need it for the other end. I'm not going to use a zipper foot. I'm just going to use my regular foot, and I'm going to perhaps move my needle over a little bit. But obviously you can use a zipper foot. So we'll do one at a time. So it's right sides down with the right side of your cushion front showing. Okay. So let's pop it under the machine. So really what you're wanting to do is to aim for that 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to move my needle that way a little bit. You could use your zipper foot now. Super. So, and like I say, it's about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can go as much as 3/8 with the zip, it's perfectly fine. So just keep it all lined up. Be careful when you get to your pleats. And like I say in the pattern, you can actually baste both ends of your pleat just to hold it in place. So just keep an eye on that. I'm just coming up to my zip slider. So usual thing, needle in, foot up, and just slide it. If you can't get round your foot that way, turn it to the side, because it's less of an effort to go past the end of your zip like that, your foot, than to go along the length of it. So all the way down to the other side. No need to backstitch. Okay, I just want to check that, make sure it's not too far away, because I did feel that it pushed it away a bit. I'm just going to do that first little bit again. That's better. Okay, so now it's like this. We need to do the other side. So get your backing square, find the centre. So this time I might just want to do just pinch it to just get a, because it's calico, because it's this type of fabric, it takes a crease beautifully. So again, we're going to do right sides together. So if I show you on the overhead, so you want to do it, let's do it that way. So it's right sides together. Just make sure all this is lined up. So we're going to start stitching from here. So I'll put a clip there just to hold it, and then you can make sure your centre marks line up, which they do, and we can pop a clip. Let's move the zip slider along a bit, and we can pop a clip in there. There we go. So that will go all the way up to the end. Just make sure it's sitting square. That's fine. In fact, what I'll do is I'll make sure it sits correctly at this end. So you're putting the raw edge of your cushion back to the edge of your zipper tape. So regardless of what else is going on, that's it, I've got it now. So we're just going to stitch all the way across there and secure the other side of that zipper. So when we open it up, we'll have the right side of the fabric showing, the right side of the zipper showing and the right side obviously of our front showing. So let's get it under the machine. Good. So do a little bit at a time. Make sure your raw edges are sitting on the edge of the zip. You see, if you've got the facility to move your needle across, it's ideal then to keep your regular foot on. See how you manage. Okay, so I'm just coming up to my slider. In fact, I'm going to move it now. Let's move that slider out of the way. I'll show you on the overhead. There is our zip attached. So that's what it should look like. We've got a little bit of overhang here, but we can trim that back. You can certainly trim this end here. And then it's just a case of putting right sides together and stitching all the way around. And because we've got that zip tab at the end here, because of the zip tab, it makes it so super easy. So we'll just match up our seams, bring it all the way along, making sure everything matches. Oh, I must cut those threads, and we're good to go. So let us start stitching. So I'm going to put my needle back to the correct position. I think that's right. My machine soon tells me if it's wrong. That's it. What to do is untold. Right, okay, so what you want to do is make sure that these ends, you probably as well to stitch across the top and then down the sides, and that way when you get to your tabs you can fold them in or fold them out. So let's do that. So right across the top, let's increase my stitch length just a little bit. Okay, so that's gone across the top. So there's a zipper on the bottom and I've stitched across here. So now I'm going to come down one side. And then I'm just going to pleat my tab. That can come in or it can come out. So I think I'm going to do mine in. Yeah, I'll do mine in. Actually, I'm going to do mine out. I'm going to do mine out because actually it does look better out. So let's line all that up. I will do a little back stitch there. So flip it over, come from the top again. All the way down the side. So what you're doing is you're bringing the two raw edges of the seams together. You're making a little sandwich, and then you decide whether your pleat of your zip tab goes in towards the cushion or out. I'm just going to move my zip slider. In fact, let's open the zip. Good idea. that's it. So that's coming out. Do a little back stitch. That's it done. Now I'm not going to cut the corners of my cushion. You might want to. Also, don't forget to cut your threads on the back, especially if you've got jump stitches, so you've jumped from one place to another, because that might restrict the fabric. It might ruckle the fabric up a little bit. So I would cut all your jump stitches on the back. So just turn it through. And because we've done the tabs, it'll sit beautifully. It really will. You won't get any funny curvy ends. It'll sit really nicely. There we go. Okay, so that is our cushion made, and that is Anna. Could do the press. So what I'll do is I'll go away and give it a press, pop a cushion pad in, and then I'll show you what it looks like with the other one. So there is our second Anna made, and she's been pressed, and she's got a lovely squidgy cushion pad in there. So depending on how much squidginess you need will depend on the size of the cushion pad. I have told you what size it fits, but you might want a smaller one, you might want a feather one, you might want a bigger one and puff it out even more. So it looks great with our first Anna. So I've got two now. I love it when I get two. Now, of course, you could do the opposite, couldn't you? You could have the second mushroom on the other side. That would look different, wouldn't it? You could move them around. So that one could be over here. It's just another thought. So there we are. There's our two Annas. So for me, that completes our trilogy for April 2023. We've got Anna here. We've got Alice, which is the fabulous bunting behind me there. Can you see? It is beautiful. And we've got Aggie, which is the gorgeous little mat there as well. So you've got a trilogy, which I think will be absolutely super for the summer months. I'm really going to enjoy having these in my garden. And when we go in the motorhome, maybe I'll take them with me and we can have them outside with our sun loungers. That would be super. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I did take my time with it, so hopefully you were able to keep up, or at least take it all in. So thank you very much for joining me, as I said, and I hope you make loads.